Mohsen Ibrahim Fouad. I received an email from the Risk Management Department. Uh, Mohsen Ibrahim Fouad. I received an email from the Risk Management Department supervisor, Sylvain
Did it have a
Prosper.
name? Okay. Give me 1 second. He is not currently in the office, but I can transfer you over. He might be working from home. What's the best number to reach you at?
772-538-8586. He sent me an email. He said, I'm out of the office today and will return Monday, September, he said, 7/7/2025, so January, February, March, April, May, June, July. He said, I am out of the office today and will return Monday, July 7th, 2025. But
Oh, that must be a typo.
we're in October. Today's October
Yeah.
3rd, Friday. And then it says, I will address your email upon my return. For an urgent matter requiring immediate assistance, please contact 305-416-1700.
Okay. You have a claim with us?
Yeah, several. It's in reference to police brutality, and they still haven't paid me. I've been sending them emails and exhibits of evidence clearly and convincingly proving that Officer Ronnie Rodriguez from the City of Miami Police Department, he put me in a chokehold for about 20 seconds while I was on my knees with my hands in the air, struggling to say I couldn't breathe. I said I couldn't breathe 5 times. Fifth time I struggled to say I couldn't breathe, he twisted my neck to the right on purpose, attempting to break my neck, and then he picked me up and he body slammed me onto my left side in front of Supervisor Sergeant Edwin Gomez, badge number 2364 from the City of Miami Police Department. And he did that because I told on him. While I was
Oh,
telling Supervisor Sergeant Edwin Gomez, badge number 2364, that Officer Ronnie Rodriguez, badge number 42511 from the City of Miami Police Department, pushed me in my chest 3 times and wasn't willing to call a supervisor and didn't call a supervisor until I started recording him with my camera phone. Rodriguez 42511 retaliated against me while I was telling on him, and he snuck up behind me, put me in a chokehold, twisted my neck to the right, picked me up and body slammed me onto my left side. And then there was another officer who was already there, Officer Albello, and he also failed to intervene. And I know there was another officer there because there was 2 police vehicles there. Rodriguez, badge number 42511's vehicle, and Officer Albello's vehicle, because it was parked behind a silver Nissan Sentra at doing a traffic stop. And when I asked Rodriguez to call a supervisor, he wasn't willing to call a supervisor, and I asked him to call a supervisor specifically after he pushed me in my chest 3 times. And he didn't call a supervisor until I started recording him with my camera phone. And then he called the supervisor after he saw me recording him with my camera phone. And Supervisor Sergeant Edwin Gomez, badge number 2364, arrived. And then I told Supervisor Sergeant Edwin Gomez, badge number 2364, that Rodriguez pushed me in my chest 3 times and wasn't willing to call a supervisor. And he didn't call a supervisor until I started recording him with my camera phone. And while I was telling him that, Rodriguez, as I mentioned, he snuck up behind me, put me in a chokehold, twisted my neck to the right, body slammed me onto my left side out of retaliation. And then Gomez, 2364, witnessed that and left. And then a PRI officer arrived, a police responding to the incident officer named Leslie Diaz, badge number 40742 from the City of Miami Police Department. And he walked onto that crime scene and he immediately confronted Rodriguez, badge number 42511, and said, "So why'd you beat him up?" And then Rodriguez 42511 started exchanging words with him for about a minute or two, and then Rodriguez badge number 42511 started yelling at Diaz 40742 and said, "Man, let's just take this kid somewhere and beat the shit out of him some more." And then Diaz told him to take me to Jackson Memorial Hospital. and I was sitting in the back seat of Rodriguez, badge number 42511's police vehicle, in handcuffs after he choked me, twisted my neck, and body slammed me onto my left side, took everything out of my pockets, put me in handcuffs, and put me in the back seat of his police car. And then after Diaz,
Omar.
after Diaz told him to take me to Jackson Memorial Hospital, Rodriguez walked around the front side of the vehicle, opened the driver's side door of the police vehicle that I was in, leaned in, and started yelling at me and said, "When you don't listen, you get your ass beat." And then he slammed the door, and then he walked back around the front of the vehicle and started talking to Diaz again. And then he walked back to the trunk of the vehicle and started filling out a police report. And he falsified the police report and wrote, he transported me to Jackson Memorial Hospital because I was walking into traffic, which is a lie. And then he transported me to Jackson Memorial Hospital, and Diaz, 40742, followed behind him in a separate police vehicle. And then Rodriguez walked me into the back door of Jackson Memorial Hospital, looked like a psychiatric unit area, and he took 2 steps into the back door, took the handcuffs off of me, turned around and left. And then they told me to change out into some medical looking scrubs. And then I called 911 from the hospital phone and told them what Rodriguez 42511 did to me. And they said they're sending the rescue team and to go with them so they could wheel me to the emergency room side of the hospital because I'm injured. And then they entered, 3 people entered with a gurney. And when I started walking towards the gurney to sit on the gurney, several people started running out of different doors and yelling at them, saying, "No, you can't help him. You can't help him. Get out of here. You can't help him." And they scared them, and then they left. And then about 10 people surrounded me. They looked like they had like doctors' uniforms and medical scrubs. And they forced me into a little room that looked like a jail cell. And they told me to pull my pants down. And they said, "We're going to inject you with something to put you to sleep." I said, "No, I don't consent to any medical treatment or any injections or anything, and I'm allergic to those things, those injections." And then they started walking towards me aggressively, and they said, "If you don't pull your pants down, we're gonna pull your pants down for you, and we're gonna forcefully inject you." I said, "No, I don't agree to those things. I don't agree to any medical treatment from this facility." And they started walking towards me again, very aggressively, like they were gonna beat me up. And then they said, and then I asked them, I said, what are you, what you're trying to inject me with, is it going to kill me?" And then a Chinese lady tried to soften me up. She said, "No, honey, no, it's just going to put you to sleep, and we'll give you some Benadryl for the allergic reaction." And then I said, "Okay, could you at least leave the door open after you inject me?" And he said, and the Chinese guy, he said, "Yeah, we'll leave the door open." And then he injected me, and then I sat down on the bed, and then within 30 seconds I started feeling like I was gonna faint. And then the Chinese guy, he walked out last, and there was like 9 people in front of him. He walked out, he grabbed the door, looked at me, and he slammed the door in my face. And within like 30 seconds I passed out. And then when I woke up, the door was open. I walked out of that room, used the phone again, called 911, told them what they did to me, and then they said, "Okay, this time we're gonna send the internal affairs to help you." And then they sent internal affairs detective Eric Rodriguez, ERIC Rodriguez, same last name as Officer Ronnie Rodriguez, badge number 42511, who put me in a chokehold, twisted my neck to the right, and body slammed me onto my left side earlier that day. And then they brought me upstairs to a different floor of that hospital. And then internal affairs detective Eric Rodriguez arrived with 2 other female detectives from the internal affairs, and they took pictures of visible fresh wounds on my body caused by Officer Ronnie Rodriguez, badge number 42511. And then they told the doctors to do x-rays and MRIs and CT scans of my body. And then the 10th day that I was there, we had a court hearing with the Honorable Judge Alvin Balint Jr., a prosecutor named Prosecutor Lourdes, and 2 public defenders that they assigned to help me, Public Defender Julianne D. Maria and Public Defender Hugh Keoth. And they proved that I didn't do anything wrong. I was beaten up by the police, they witnessed signs of bruising, and the judge acknowledged the pictures of the bruising, and the doctors acknowledged the pictures of the bruising and the injuries, and they proved that I didn't do anything wrong for them to arrest me, and they need to release me from that hospital jail setting immediately. And then the judge, he put that in writing. He said it was an uncontested fact at this hearing that Omar was beaten up by the police, and the doctors even saw signs of bruising, and they need to release him from this hospital jail setting. And he signed the documentation, and they released me.
Okay, Omar. I heard everything you said. The only thing is that Prosper will be the only one that will be able to help you, as he is your adjuster. I just do front desk. I set up an email and I wrote it to him so he can reach out to you as soon as he returns. He'll be back on Monday, the 6th.
Okay, and then another thing too, when I tried to bring this to the attention of the courts so they could give me money and pay me because they injured me, because Officer Ronnie Rodriguez injured me, and Officer and Sergeant Edwin Gomez, badge number 2364, failed to intervene, and Officer Albello failed to intervene. They ended up shutting down the courthouse, and they shut down the government, and they said it's a coronavirus pandemic. And they assigned Douglas Harrison from the City of Miami Attorney's Office on the case, and he was at the court hearing when I was speaking to the Honorable Judge Spencer Ige, who I told the same thing I told you that happened, and he asked me to get evaluated through outpatient procedures by the doctors from the City of Miami Attorney's Office, so they could evaluate how much they're going to pay me. And I said, okay, when could we do that? And then the Honorable Judge Spencer Ige asked the City of Miami Attorney Douglas Harrison, and Douglas Harrison said, "We'll call him, Your Honor." But they never called me. And then they shut down the courthouse, they shut down the government, and they said it was a coronavirus pandemic. And now, since then, I've been trying to get in contact with the proper people at the City of Miami Attorney's Office, at the City of Miami Risk Management Department, and I've been sending them emails, updating them on my injuries and all of my efforts to try to fully recover from the injuries, so they could be on the same page of everything that and everyone that I'm trying to notify, responsible parties, my opposing counsels, participating government agencies, and everybody who's responsible for helping victims like myself. And now all of a sudden they said they shut down the government again.
Okay. Okay. I hear you. I already emailed him, so he's going to be aware to give you a call Monday, okay?
All right, thank you, ma'am. And what's your name?
My name is Raquel.
Say it again.
Raquel.
How do I spell that?
Raquel.
Okay, and then what's the best number to get in contact with you on?
To reach him, the best number would be, give me 1 second. 305-416-1750.
1750. All right, and is there anything I could do for you?
No, no, thank you.
Wait, do you need me to send you any of this in writing?
No, it's fine. He'll have it in his claim file.
Okay. And if there's anything I could do for you, please don't hesitate to ask me. I promise I'll try my best to help you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Bye-bye.